I'm the guy that's laying the foundation. I'm building the framework. I'm putting running the wire, the plumbing.
Mhm.
And to me, that's what editing is. It's like you're really crafting a story and you are in control of whether or not you can make or break that video.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the Brian the Video Guy podcast. My name is Brian Licata. I'm here with Sam Rivera. Thank you for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me on the show. What a pleasure to be the first guy on, first guest.
Well, I really appreciate you responding to me on YouTube. I think it's really cool that with these platforms, you can just kind of connect with people that you otherwise would have never talked to.
Yeah, it really is incredible. Like with the internet and stuff, like how many people you can meet, from all walks of life. Most of the people that I've interacted with, whether they're a client or a friend or whatever, I've met them online. So, it's crazy to think that like, whatever, let's say 25, 30 years ago, anybody that you interacted with, you would have to either they would be a friend of a friend or you would
Right.
know them, you grew up with them. And yeah, man, it's pretty incredible.
So do you want to just, I guess, tell whoever is watching what you're doing with your production company right now? So Sam owns Samuel Rivera Films, and you're producing content. I saw that you do, you're kind of like reshaping content that people already use, but you're also doing, other video production services, right?
Yeah, so I have sort of two brands. So I have like my personal brand, which allows me to funnel in business
Right.
for client work. So I have two umbrellas. Like I said, I have my personal brand where I recreate content. Like I'll take a podcast, like a Joe Rogan podcast, and turn it into some sort of like visual storytelling video.
They're
And then I
amazing
have
too, man. But the storytelling that you do in those, I'm like, God, it's just it's incredible what you can do without producing any of the stuff yourself. You're just taking stuff and telling that story. It's incredible.
Yeah, that part of my business is actually called content recrafting. So it's like I take what you've already got and I recraft it into something else. Because a lot of times I find that the editing or the storytelling or what makes a good video is really in the editing. It's not. I mean, look, you could record with a super high end camera.
Mm-hmm.
You could have all the the best cinematographers there in the world with you. But if the edit sucks, you're gonna have a shitty video. So.
Yeah. It's all about storyline. It really is. It's all about storyline,
pacing, music.
Yep.
It all kind of meshes
tempo
together. Yeah, tempo, exactly. I mean, you do it yourself, right? Don't you do it full time?
Yeah, I'm working for a company right now that is a franchise, and I'm like their in-house video producer. But in the past, I've had my own business, and then I'm producing a bunch of different podcasts right now, and my own too.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
So,
yeah, and then separate aside from my personal brand, I also do stuff for clients. So there's original content that I record for them, whether it be like
Right.
a storytelling or a commercial. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do full time now.
How did you get into like filmmaking and doing all this stuff?
I got into it just as a hobby. So I literally just picked up a camera, knew nothing. I never went to film school.
Mm-hmm.
And I started off doing like little videos of my family. Like my daughter would be playing around and I would turn
Right.
it into like, and I never really did anything with them other than share them obviously with friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I decided to like interview one of my jiu-jitsu coaches, and it sort of went, I'm going to call it viral for me. Cause when you're first starting off and you produce a video, if you get like 50 views, you're like, wow, that's pretty good. Well, I in that video, I got like over 1,000. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay. Like,
man,
this,
I don't know if that's a good or
something to
bad
this.
thing that your first one went like that.
So I produced that video and it did well in like in the
Mhm.
community. And then I said, hey, let me do another one because I had a great time producing it. And then I did this one coach that was, a couple hour drive away from me, and he had a super inspirational story. And at the end of it, I asked him and said, hey, do you know anybody else that might have a pretty cool story like you? He goes, actually, I'd like to see if you'd be interested in doing videos for the coaches on my staff. And I looked at myself and I said, you want to like pay me to do these? Like, I never in my wildest dreams thought that somebody would be willing to pay me. And then that was just really
Right.
how I got started. I said, wow, I could turn this into something. But I was still working a 9 to 5, and really wasn't until
how long ago was this?
I want to say 2000, tail end of 2015.
Okay.
And so I actually vividly remember it was like November of 2015. I was starting the new job, and this new job was a lot closer to my house, and I had like an abundance of free time. So I said, hey, with my free time, you know, I could train more, I could do videos and so forth. And but yeah, that's kind of when it started. Now this other guy, he's actually still a client of mine to this day. He actually just called me recently. He's like, hey man, I got another video I want you to do. But yeah, that's how it started. I said, you know, he asked me if I'd be willing to do his other coaches, and I you know, I said, oh shit, maybe I can turn this into something.
I love working with jiu-jitsu guys. I actually got hooked up with a local gym when I was still living in New Jersey. And I did like a series of 3 or 4 different videos with a jiu-jitsu gym. They were great.
What's cool?
It was 609 Jiu-Jitsu. It's in Atlantic County. I don't know if you know those guys at all. Steve McGee and Jose. Man, I can't remember Jose's name, but they're both Atlantic City police officers. Oh, I'm sorry. One of them's Atlantic City police officer, and the other one's a New Jersey Transit police officer. But man, I did like a kid. They had a kids program there, and you know, we focused on the instructor. He's like an old, like wise, like the typical, like stereotypical old, wise, calm mannered, you know, martial arts guy. And he was awesome with the kids, and we did a really good job. I was working with a buddy at the time of capturing that, and then that rolled into, we did like belt promotions. We did another highlight video. I kind of miss working with them, actually. That was a really fun client. How long have you been practicing?
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about a decade now.
Wow.
So yeah, quite some time.
You got to be deep in. No one does that stuff like halfway.
No. There's actually like a running jokes. Like once a lot of guys have a tendency of like, they get their blue belt, which is, you know, right after white. And then a lot of them just drop off. It's like a running joke in the jiu-jitsu community. But yeah, once you stick around, man, like you know, you fall in love with the sport, and it teaches you a lot about yourself, about your life. And yeah, I think I'd be a completely different person if I didn't have it in my life, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this content, what did you say? Remarketing? Is that what you?
It's called content recrafting. It's
recrafting.
Something yeah.
Did you come up with this idea? Because when I was looking on your site, I was like, man, I've never seen anybody like advertise for that. Like it never even crossed my mind to provide that kind of service.
Yeah, I just, you know, I have a business coach that I work with, and, he knows, you know, he's pretty deep into my business, and he helped me, you know, coin the term and come up with the idea. I mean, I was already doing it, but I didn't have like a
name for it.
Yeah. You know, name for it. So he helped me with that. And, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of businesses, do that already. They just call it something else, right? They just call like, oh, we'll edit your footage. But
yeah,
there really is a market for editors out there. I think, you know, anybody could film, really, right? We were saying this at the beginning of the call, like you can film. And for me, I find that part is the easy part, like acquiring, you know, I equate it to like, you know, if you need to build a house, right, and you're going to get all your supplies from like Home Depot, buying the supplies is easy. What's hard is building the house.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I really think that the editing is like equivalent to like building the house. I'm the guy that's laying the foundation. I'm building the framework. I'm putting running the wire, the plumbing. And to me, that's what editing is. It's like you're really crafting a story, and you are in control of whether or not you can make or break that video.
Yeah, that's something I think about a lot. And I also think about it in the sense of, you know, when I look at other stuff that people put out, you know, I feel like I'm aware of it, as sometimes other people aren't really aware of the power that editing actually has to drive whatever, you know, story you're trying to tell. You know, like I used to do stuff with comedy club, and I could film the guys, and it looks like they're saying a joke, and then cut to a crowd that is then laughing. It's like you can move around your story. Now,
yeah, you could also like hide a lot of fuck ups, right? So to your point, right? Let's say something got knocked out of focus for whatever reason. Again, you have what's called that safety shot where the crowd is laughing or whatever,
or your wide shot or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, so there's a thing. Me and you were talking about this on the phone a couple of weeks ago when we had first spoke, and we were talking about how cool it was that, like, with the internet and the advent of all this technology, one of them I'm using down here. I don't know if I can show it up. It's a little black magic switcher. So I have the camera routed in. And like all this stuff is new. Like the gimbals, the small mirrorless cameras, like high quality, getting good audio. And there's this like advent of people who are just, running around with the gimbal, a small mirrorless camera and a drone. And they're making a boatload of money. And it never really existed before. But the one thing that I see too is like sometimes the narrative is lost. Like people don't know how to put stories together. Now, how did you learn like how to weave those stories together? Because it's a skill that I learned kind of early on and have been continuing to like develop. That's a whole craft in itself. Like the writing and pre-production part before you even get into shooting, and then the writing you have to then do in the editing room.
I think it was just learned over time. For me, I've always, growing up, I've always been fascinated with like movies as far back as I can remember. My parents always had like a collection of VHS tapes, and I would watch the same movies over and over and over again. The Terminator, Speed, you name it, and they all follow the same formula,
right? Which
is you've got this problem, then you've got the hero that comes in, and then he rescues. He rescues the princess at the end of the movie. And that's how I look at any video. It's like, what's the problem? What's the solution? And then how do you solve that problem?
How do you solve that solution?
And, yeah. And for me, for any video, I'm always looking to see if I can, tie in some sort of story into it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a written story or narrated. Sometimes it could just be text on screen. It could be a visual story, right? I've done videos like that too, where there's no talking. It's just you're telling the story through visuals. How did I learn it? I don't know. I think it was just it wasn't like somebody sat down and taught me. This is just the way that my brain works when I'm creating videos. Like I need to see what is the point of this, and whenever I'm making a video, if there's no point, then there's no point in me making the video.
Yeah.
So I try to look at everything through that lens.
That's one of my favorite parts is when I'm just like, I feel like a surgeon sometimes when I'm in there with a razor blade and I'm moving the words around and then just moving the pieces and then, duplicating timelines and trying something different and then duplicating the duplicate and then just adding a little something different to try to drive it home. It's fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. And, you can really, it's funny because there's a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll have clients or potential clients, leads, I guess you can call them. Mm-hmm. They'll reach out to me like, hey man, I really love that Rogan video that you did. Would love for you to do that for my business. I'm like, okay, great. Like here's the cost to it. And they're like blown away. It's like, well, listen, when you're creating a video like that, I'm spending 30 hours to make a 1 minute and a half, minute and a half video.
Yeah.
So if you want something like that, it's going to cost you. People have no idea what it takes to create a video. And I've got clients where they, like, hey man, you're a little too expensive. And then they try and they're like, I spent a week on this and I didn't get anywhere. Here, you do it. I'll pay whatever it takes. Like they don't,
I'm always down to be like, hey, listen, this is the price. If you don't like the price, I know somebody cheaper. If you want to go with them, this is their work. Go ahead. Like it doesn't matter to me. But if you like my work and you want to do that, this is what it costs. So I'm sorry,
dude. Have you ever seen that video? There's so many like memes of people out there like where they'll say the client finds somebody cheaper.
Yeah.
My favorite one is there's this one where it's like it's Metallica's song. Have you ever seen this video?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to pull it up though.
Okay.
What
just type
is
in
it?
like if you go into YouTube and you type in Metallica, client finds someone cheaper, just that should pull it up.
Metallica client finds someone cheaper.
And it's like this band playing To the Sandman, I think it's is a song.
Yeah. Does this look like it?
That's it. That's it, dude. Just
hold on. Let me see if I can get the sound on here for you.
Oh man,
we'll put, oh shit. That was the wrong one. All right, here we go.
And this is a perfect example of when a client says, "We found someone cheaper." Just wait for it. Just work the play. I'm telling you. Hold on.
It's actually not bad.
It's not, but you know,
it's not the real song.
Can't play. Yeah. All right, we got somebody. I got my cousin Louis from around the corner that he could do it. No, he's actually pretty good. The guy.
Yeah. It's man. It's you know, I feel like sometimes it's my responsibility to educate the people that come to me to tell them, you know, listen, you don't know this. This is why you're hiring me. I'm going to tell you, and then you can do with that information whatever you want. You know, I'll tell you, listen, if you want me to shoot a 1.5-minute commercial itemizing these 5 things with your business and you want it to look really fucking cool, I'm going to have to write this whole thing out because right now you have 0 idea, right? So I need to take absolute nothing, just a blank sheet of paper and then turn it into a video. So right. Take your vision, turn it into something. Yeah,
but there's also
time.
2 types of shoppers, right? There's 2 types of clients. You have the client that's the I want to be able to create the video for as cheap as possible. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too, right? Like sometimes you don't have a need for a high production. Right. And then you have the guy that wants to make an impact. Mm-hmm. But you can't have cheap and make impact together, you know, at the same time. Like, you know, I guess you can, you know.
Yeah, you can adjust the levels, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get lucky and you can make like a viral video and that has impact, and you know, you didn't spend a lot of money, but those are pretty rare. And that's not my thing, right? Like I can help you make impact, or we could do something cheaper, but we can't do both. Yeah. So,
that's a good sales tool right there, man. I mean, you know, you put it back on them.
Yeah, no, 100%. You have to, and it recalibrates their, you know, and you could show them. Listen, when I, you know, we're talking, you know, talking shit over here, but you know, when I'm speaking to them, right, it's a different type of conversation. But it's to your point. It's like you've got to educate them and explain to them, like, hey, here's what we could do for, you know, for a cheap budget, and here's what we could do for something else, right? Mm-hmm. So. Well, yeah, it's our job to educate them.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm fine with doing any type of work, man. Really, you know, I'm not at the point in my career where I'm super picky about what the stuff I'm doing. I am a little picky, but you know, I'll shoot. You know, if it's within my wheelhouse and I think I will do a good job at it, I would take on the project. But like, you know, I'm not a wedding videographer. I would not be good at that. If you hired me for your wedding, I would make a decent video, but you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to want to do it. You know, I'm not going to want to do it.
Yeah. A lot of people actually, I don't know if you get this, but a lot of people like, if they meet me like, oh, what do you do? You know, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I'm a videographer. And they're like, oh, so you shoot weddings? Like immediately people think that camera, weddings, that's what you do. I've done one wedding and that was my one and done. I said never again.
How'd it come out? Yeah. How'd it come out?
Not good. I mean, it came out okay. This is when I first started. Yeah, they ended up loving it.
That's okay. As long as they liked it, then it was good. Yeah. That's all that matters.
You know what's funny is because it was when I first started and I was doing videos like storytelling, like jujitsu stories, and I'm like, when this was actually one of my buddies, and he's like, hey, I would love for you to do my wedding. I love your style. And I said, okay. And I got home. I went home and like, you wouldn't believe. I told my wife, I'm like, you wouldn't believe, like, you know, this guy wants me to do his video. Do a wedding. It's going to be so easy. Like, this is so easy. Like, how hard can it be? Oh my God. Was I in over my head? I messed up the vows. Like I peaked the audio, right? So completely destroyed their vows. Um, just everything that could go wrong went wrong. And like we were saying in the beginning, like you could save a video in the edit. I was able to save the video. So what I ended up doing was, because I destroyed their vows, but I had so much B-roll from the them taking their pictures with the photographer and of the event.
Right.
What I did was I was able to just voice over their vows. I went to their house afterwards. I admitted to them. I said, "Look, guys, here's what happened."
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "All right, well, what do we do now?" And I told them, like, we'll just dub it. And
so you had a solution, though. You had a solution. Came down with a solution.
Yeah, and they loved it. They ended up after I delivered the video, they were like, "Oh my God, you did an amazing job." They were like beyond happy with what I did. So it all worked out. But that taught me, like, never again do a video. It was just a nightmare to begin with.
Yeah, and you did it solo too. You didn't have a second shooter or anybody there? Was there a photographer at least?
There was a photographer, but they had outsourced that with to somebody else. And yeah, so I didn't have what you should, right? With the wedding. I was just at a wedding in December. And I was looking at these guys, and they had like 6 guys recording.
You got to.
I'm like,
yeah, you got to.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like,
you got to. Yeah, you gotta have at least 3, man. That's what I would do with like 3. But some of the guys I know who do it, they do like 3 or 4, and then there'll be like 2 or 3 photographers.
Yeah,
but they charge like an obscene amount of money to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to. I would imagine they're probably. I don't even want to know what they're charging. Probably, if I had to guess, 9,000, 8,000.
Yeah, I've heard people pay anywhere from like 3 to 5 on the low end to like 20 to 25,000 on the high end.
Before
some of them are like movies; they're like legitimate short films, like about these people, And they're
my buddy. He's a wedding videographer, and he does it all solo. I don't know how he does it, but he does a fantastic job at making these wedding videos.
Does he have he's tripods all over the place where he's just like stopping and starting?
He told me, he's like, I get one, like, he's got it all down to a science. Like, he's like, I put this one here, put one here as the establishing shot in the main shot, and then he's got like his whole routine. He was explaining it to me. I'm like, man, that's pretty impressive. Like, but I don't know, I would be worried, like, if I just leave a camera on a tripod and like somebody walks in front of the camera, now that safety shot is screwed with. I did a video for this guy, Harley Flanagan. He used to be in a band, or he still has the band. It's called Chromax, but it was like a popular punk band back in the 80s. And he asked me to record his concert at the Prudential Center. And I was doing a video for him, like a storytelling piece, for my personal brand. And some jerk off, like, I wanted to record directly in front of the stage. And I set the camera all the way in the back, by the sound booth. And I'm like, this is fine. Nobody, it was so far away from where everybody was. And this guy, when I got home and I'm like, okay, cool, I've got my main shot, and I can cut back and forth. I looked at the camera. The guy literally looked into the lens and then intentionally stood in front of the camera
the whole time.
So the whole time, whole concert, all you could see is like a silhouette of this guy and like the lights in front of him from the concert. I'm like, what an asshole.
Oh, yeah. Why? You see it there. Why?
Yeah.
Was this it was in Jersey, you said, at the Prudential Center? That's probably why.
Newark,
he's from Jersey. That's why.
He's from Jersey. I'll show this guy for leaving his tripod here.
Are you from Jersey also? You grew up in Jersey?
Yeah, I grew up here. Yeah, I've been here all my life. You said you moved to Florida, right? So
yeah,
you grew up in Jersey?
I'm from Camden County, and then I was living down in Atlantic County in like the Atlantic City area for like 4 or 5 years. And then me and my fiance just moved down here to Florida.
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're in like in the Boca Raton, West Palm area. So it's hot. It's nice. But yeah, I don't know. I miss Jersey a little bit, but most of the time I'm good,
Yeah.
I can come home anytime I want.
Yeah, in the wintertime, I'm sure it's fantastic, right? When you see everybody getting hit with snowstorms up here, and it's July.
It's like 80
that's
right
now.
But I mean, I think about it. It's like it's really hotter for like an extra month and a half on either end of the summer. Like there's no spring and there's no fall, so that's gone, and it's really just like It's really just hot and like a little less hot.
Yeah. It's like summer and then hell.
Yeah, it's like
My
summer,
wife was like,
yeah.
we were talking about taking our daughter to Disney. We've gone there. We've taken her a few times already, but to make a long story short, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be," because at her job they tell her when she could be off because they close the whole office. It's a small company.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it has its pros and cons because
Right.
like they dictate when she can take off or not.
But
Anyway,
got
so
that
she's
time, which is nice. Yeah.
yeah. But they told her like this month or this year it's going to be like the end of June, and she's like, "Oh, why don't we go to Florida? End of June." I'm like, "Do you know how hot it's going to be? Like, are you?" We went in February, and I remember being on the Millennium Falcon line for like an hour and a half. And we were drenched. I'm like, "This is February. Imagine like July. Are you crazy?"
Yeah, it's hot right now. I think it's going to go up to like 78 or 79 today. Like it's
Wow.
definitely warm.
That's not too bad though. 79, 80. That's good.
It's not, but it's been raining. But I mean, yeah, whatever. I love it. I'm so happy I moved down here.
Yeah, I would be totally willing to like move down there just for the winter months.
Yeah, man, it's great. It's just expensive. It's super expensive where I live. I think just because everyone is doing the same thing I did, is they're coming down here, and businesses are open. There's a lot of money coming in. They're building everywhere, and just the price of everything's just jacking up.
Well, yeah, I mean, just because, like you said, everybody's moving down there. COVID, I would imagine a lot of companies are still allowing people to work from home. So it's like, why would I want to be here? Where I mean, people were in this area, right, for out of necessities. Like this is where the jobs are.
Yeah, New York.
Now it's like I can still have a job over here, but live over there. Why wouldn't you do that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a smart move, man.
Now, how much of your work are you actually doing? I guess only if you have clients that you have to go on location with. Everything else, do you do from home, or do you have an office or anything?
Oh, you're looking at it, man.
That's
I do it all from right here. Yeah,
that's a nice little setup. You got some nice hardwood floors back there, nice and bright.
Yeah, it's not bad. It works. I've got we've got two desks. You can't see it here, and yeah, it's more than what I need. I've got my iMac that I use, and
yeah, I got some equipment questions. So you got what kind of iMac and what kind of cameras are you running with right now?
So I've got a fully maxed out 2020 iMac with the Intel processor.
Yep, I got the same one.
Yeah. I lied. I don't have it maxed out in terms of like the RAM. So the RAM is only at 64 gigs. Yep. I could still upgrade to like the 128 if I wanted to.
Is it the unibody, the iMac, or you have the desktop Mac?
The desktop Mac, like the built-in. No. I'm sorry. It's like the the one,
the monitor.
The one with the monitor. Right. Not the iMac, like the separate unit.
Yeah.
And then as far as like you asked me about like camera equipment, I just shoot with for my necessity, unless I need to like rent some, like a client says, hey, we need like
top notch,
high end, high end like cinematic footage. I just use my Canon EOS R, and then I've got some Sigma lenses that I use for what I do most times. Like I'm not shooting those super high end like production commercials. That's a different client base.
Yep.
That's like somebody that's shooting for like a car commercial.
Exactly.
That's not what I do.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
What about you? What do you use?
The camera I'm using right now is a Sony A7 III, and I have the camera that we use at work is an FX3, and that thing's a beast, man. It's great. And I got it paired up with the Sigma lens, and I have some other lenses too. But I've kind of been getting into this kid who's a contractor that I work with a lot. He really likes the Panasonic cameras, and he's kind of convincing me to switch over and use some of those, like the GH5.
They shoot nice.
S1H. I think is like one of their top tier.
I like the way that the Sony shoot. My buddy that I was telling you about, that he's a wedding videographer. He shoots with the Sonys. I think he's got the FX3, and it shoots amazing. It looks incredible.
Great camera. Hard for me to use. It's been a learning curve for me to kind of to
why you went from Canon to that? Or?
No, I had the A7 III, but it shoots different. Just like exposing and the color is a little bit different from this camera. So it was just, it took me a little bit used to, just kind of get my settings all dialed in right the way I want it.
You know what I find with that footage is that I have to create proxies for when I edit with that stuff. Like I've got a full, like I said, I've got a full maxed out thing.
Time, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you have to do that with the Canon too, or no?
No,
just the Sony shit, right?
Just the Sony.
Yeah, that's why I want to get rid of them.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I have him. Like, okay, so if I start editing, all my projects with this type of footage, it looks amazing, but shit, like it's gonna slow down my computer. I've edited like Black Magic. I've edited Red for those, no problem. But with for whatever
it's the whatever codec they're using, like in the compression is just it's too much. And even if you use the ones that are more uncompressed, like the other codecs, it still just won't play. ProRes is the best thing. Are you using Premiere also?
I use Final Cut.
I use Final Cut. Yeah, I mean ProRes is the easiest in Premiere, and I'm sure it's probably the easiest for Final Cut too. That's what I do every time I do a project. I import everything. I pull up the media encoder. I make the proxies, set it overnight, and then edit it in the morning.
That's crazy. It takes that long for it to convert over.
Yeah, I mean, if I shoot 200 gigs in a day at a shoot, because these 4K files are massive.
Yeah, they are.
So, and then the ProRes files are even bigger. So once I transcode them to ProRes, I do it at like a high quality ProRes, and then I'll delete the MP4s because they're really worthless to me. I don't need them as long as the proxy conversion goes well. I don't need those original MP4s anymore.
Yeah,
so I get rid of them.
Yeah, that's what's nice about the Canons. Like you dump them in, and then you can start editing right away. I don't even need to let them like render out. Like I could just start editing immediately.
Yeah, I think I got to sell this thing. It's crazy, man. I bought the A7 III like 3 or 4 years ago now for $2,000, and they still sell them for almost the same price.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Yeah.
And the FX3, I think I could probably sell it for more online than we bought it for.
They weren't back ordered for a little while, right?
Yeah,
that's probably why you could probably sell them for the same price or more.
Yeah, we got it as soon as it came out. I ordered it like a month or two after the first back order. They restocked. I got it, and then they've been like really, really hard to get since then. Wow. But I don't know.
What's the one that has the? Is that the one that has the XLR cable that you plug in?
It does at the top. So the only thing I don't really like about it is it doesn't have like any internal ND filter. But other than that, here, I'll pull it up for you real quick. You can check it out. Yeah, that thing's a little beast.
Yeah,
it's got this thing that goes on the top. It's kind of plasticky though, and but it gets great audio.
Yeah, that's the one that my buddy has, the wedding videographer. It's crazy how well they shoot for such a small little thing. It's deceiving. You show up on a shoot sometimes, and like, you can tell, right, client? You show up to shoot, it's just you, and you have this little camera, and they're like, "Oh man, did I make the right decision?"
Yeah,
and then they're blown away with the video. So it's like, but it's sometimes deceiving.
Hey, that thing takes video too.
Yeah, like what is that toy? Like, oh man.
Yeah, people sleep on this thing, and the reason I like it is because it has threads on all sides of it. So since reels are getting more and more popular, I can flip this thing, and it's heavy, so I can get pretty good stabilization handheld on it, and it shoots incredible vertical video.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. I've been looking at the Canon C70. Have you seen those? It's like a compact
like cinema camera.
Yeah. Oh. It's either that, or I'm probably, just because I'm familiar with their ecosystem, that's the only reason I'm sort of gravitating towards that camera. But
it's just easier when you stay with the same. What kind of lenses did you say you like to use? You got like a hodgepodge?
For the most part, I use a 24-70 Sigma, the 2.8.
Yep, I got that same lens, man.
Yeah, it's a great lens.
Best value for the money.
It really is. The EOS R. The EOS R has like the RF mounts, and I said I refuse. First of all, the lenses are so expensive; they're like double the amount of the price of like an EF lens.
Yeah, it's EF and RF, right?
Right. Yeah. RF is the new one. EF is the mounting the mounting base plate prior to the RF. And if you look at the cost of a 24-70 Sigma, let's say, versus the 24-70 RF, it's significantly more. So I just bought the adapter. I said Canon actually makes a RF to EF adapter, so it's native to the Canon system, and I just use that. Why would I spend?
Damn.
How much is it?
It's like 2,400.
Yeah, so it's double.
Yeah.
It's more than double.
Over double, because I think that Sigma lens is like right around $1,000, right?
I think it's 13 or 1,200, something like that, give or take. Yeah. So $1,000 more. There are some nice, some pros to it. Like it's got this programmable ring on the lens, so you can change your focal length on any lens, and then you can manually adjust. This thing also has an additional ring where, like, if you want to set it to the ISO settings, or you could program it to change, right? So that's kind of nice. But their mount has that same ring, so it's like, why would I? The mount is like the adapter's like $100.
Oh, the adapter has the ring on it. Okay, yeah,
has the ring. So why would I?
It's not like a speed booster or anything, right? It's just an adapter for the mount connection.
Yeah, that's
okay.
it. Yeah, it's just right.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I kind of I have a couple cinema lenses too.
Oh, nice! Look at you.
Well, it's not really that nice. I just got this one. It's a Rokinon. I don't know if you ever heard of this brand. I mean,
yeah, I have.
It's Samyang, like it's something like that. But I kind of like having, distance and stuff on the focusing. I have a hard like. Yeah, like the focus distance, like on the rings here, and how it has the distance. Like some of these new lenses, like that Sigma, it just keeps spinning. It's like I think they call it like logarithmic or something like that, like how it finds the focus.
Yeah. Oh, for the I see what you're saying. Yeah,
for the focus. I really like how some of these cinema lenses have the distance on them.
Yeah, you're right. Like it is kind of hard, especially when you're dealing with like a small little LCD screen.
Yes, like, man.
My focus.
It's so hard.
Yeah. I use this hard. I have FieldWorld has this nice high nit monitor, and it's got like the focus peaking built into it, and it's been a game changer for two reasons. One, because like I could use it outdoors, and you can see it 100%, and then the focus, like now I know exactly if I'm in focus or not, with that focus peaking setting.
Yeah, that's cool stuff, man. That's cool stuff.
Yeah. So what about you? You have any personal projects going on, or?
Man, I'm trying to get a couple started up. The thing that I'm working on in tandem with this podcast is going to be I'm starting to do podcast tutorials on YouTube, because I've been producing podcasts for people for like, I think the first podcast I did was about 5 years ago, and I probably had 7 to 10 shows, in varying lengths over the course of time. But people ask me questions even about video editing all the time. And I mean, like, I have all this stuff set up and I do it on here all the time. So all I got to do is screen record it and talk my way through it and post it.
Right.
Instead of, people just keep asking me, I'm just like, hey man, just watch this. I made a video. And I like to teach, and I like when people are interested in production and kind of give them that back. And I mean, I use YouTube for everything. Like if I don't know how to do something, I YouTube it and figure it out, or piecemeal the YouTube videos together.
Yeah, I've everything I've learned about filmmaking has been through either through trial and error, right? Making a lot of mistakes and saying, okay, how do I never do that again? And then YouTube. But ultimately, I guess it's all been YouTube, because you make a mistake, I'm like, what happened there? And then you look it up and like, oh, that's
now I know, you idiot.
Yeah.
You did it again.
Yeah. Well, if you do it again, that's a problem.
The other thing I'm trying to get into is writing. I want to write something. Not sure if I want to do like a feature length or something, but I want to commit some time to doing some sort of longer writing piece, and then try to get it, try to film it myself and and do a full, even if it's like a short 15-minute film, you know, just something artistic and for myself is the goal with that, you know?
Yeah. I definitely want to get into same, like that's the next level that I want to get to in terms of like what I do and the types of videos that I create is more being able to script my own content and deliver messages that articulate my ideas, my thoughts, and not just showcase Joe Rogan or showcase Jocko Willink or whatever. Like, I think I have some, you know, unique perspectives on things, and you know, maybe I could turn those things into a video, but you need a script, you need a story.
Yeah. And we got the talent and the gear. It's like, sometimes I always kick myself for not doing more, because it's like, I make all this stuff for everybody else and I don't make the stuff that I want to, but it's, you know, when you're done work, you're not trying to do more.
Yeah. And that's a problem. It's like, what's the saying that a plumber has the leakiest pipes or something like that? And yeah, it's true. It's like by the time you get home, like, oh, I don't want to edit or whatever. But I don't know. For me, like, you know, the passion projects are fun. A lot of what I do doesn't necessarily require for me to go out there and go capture some footage. So that could be painful if you have to constantly go out there and record yourself or record something, you know. That takes a lot of time
and money, and just like sweat equity like no other to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How
I'm doing a video now.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying that I'm doing a video now for one of my clients, Tiger Showman's, and it's all original content, and the video's like 20 minutes long, and we're recreating scenes from this guy's life, and it's like there's a lot of work that goes into, you know, creating. You know, we'll spend a half a day, and in some cases a full day, recording something for the video that's only like for you know 30 seconds worth of screen time. So
and how long it takes you to go through to look for all that footage to get that best 15 seconds of audio that you need.
yeah, exactly. So you were gonna ask me something?
Yeah. How do you source a lot of those like clips that you make? Where do you get, like, I understand where you get the audio from because that's apparent, but all the stuff that you lay over top, how do you source that? And do you have to do any sort of like crediting to whatever sources you get the footage from? Is it like stock stuff or what?
It's a mixture. So sometimes it's my stuff. Sometimes it's stuff that I pull. Like if you look at like a lot of my videos, there's a lot of pop culture in there.
Yeah.
So I'll pull stuff from like YouTube or other filmmaker friends. And then, you know, sometimes I'll use things like, you know, like subscription-based stock footage stuff like Storybox, things like that to kind of fill in those gaps. But it's really just a mixture of all those things, you know, combined into one, and also making sure that each visual makes sense to what the person is saying. And I try and take even a step further with with my edits is like, and have like little hidden messages, things that have like a double meaning to it. And a good example is like in one of my Rogan videos, Rogan says, you know, people think what they're doing is virtuous, right? And then I show a visual of the cross, and it's like what that guy did is virtuous, right? And the people that think that they're being virtuous, you know, think that they're being like Christ, right? So it's like, it sort of has like a, you know, double meaning.
It's deep, man. I love that stuff in video. I really do. It's I don't know. There's something about like a strong, powerful message that just has like so many layers to it. And that's the beauty of video, you know?
Yeah. I think that's why it resonates with people. It's like, there's so many visuals in these video, in one video, and you only need to show it for a split second for the person who's like, yeah, I got what he's saying. You know, it's like they say a picture, or what's the old Chinese proverb?
Picture's worth 1,000 words. Yeah.
You know, and essentially that's what these things are. They're like little visuals, and the visuals tell the story, and they accompany the words. So
yeah. Well, it's beautiful, man. Listen, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, man. I had a blast.
Yeah, me too, man. And again, it's, you know, awesome to be the first guest, and you know, good luck with the show, man. That's awesome that you're doing this thing for yourself.
Yeah, thanks, man. If you ever know anybody who you think might be a good guest once I get this thing rolling, you know, send them my way. Maybe we'll do another episode in the future.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, there are some guys that that I'm friends with in the filmmaking world. So if you need another, if that's what this is going to be about, I know a few other guys that I'm sure they'd love to be on your show, man.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I want to keep recording. Thank you for that. But I want to keep. I just want to see where it goes. That's how I feel like a lot of this stuff is, especially with podcasts. Is you got to just start recording and then find the show.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in that. Like, when I started doing this, like I just was doing family videos, and then I went into jujitsu things, and then somehow along the lines I started making these Rogan videos. But if you would ask me back in 2015, like, hey, would you ever do this? Like, never. Like, I didn't go with that being the goal, right? I just started executing.
What gave you the first idea to do one of those Rogan videos?
So the first video I did like that was actually a Jocko video, and I did out of necessity, right? Because what happened was, Jocko, this is before Jocko had his podcast, and he was doing a Q&A on Tim Ferriss's podcast.
Yes.
But there was no visual to it.
Right.
No visual. So I said, okay, and what he was saying was like really inspiring to me. I remember listening to the Q&A in my car, and he was talking about America and how great it is here. And does he feel like, the person was asking, does he feel like he was a pawn for the military? And the way he answered it was just so beautiful. And he said, yeah, basically he says, yes, I was a pawn, but if you asked me to do it again, I would, without a doubt. And but there was no visuals, like I said, and he wasn't on screen. So I had to find a way to tell that story. And that's what gave birth to these types of videos. So kind of like what we were saying before, problem solving, right? Like I found the solution to the problem, and it resonated with people. And the rest is history.
Yeah, it speaks to your talent as a storyteller, man. It really does. That's like the ultimate. That's the skill set, That's it.
What a lot of what we do is problem solving.
Yeah,
right. It's like
it really is. Yep.
I can't. I mean, I'm gonna ask you this question: is there ever a shoot that you're like, damn, like it went perfect? There's gotta be.
I am mostly angry every time I get back from a film shoot. Not angry, but just slightly annoyed. I'm happy about a couple things, but I'm always slightly annoyed because there's something that didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And it's like, all right, we just got to see what happens,
Yeah.
It's hard to plan for everything. And that's what you have to do when you're shooting a video. You have to plan for it all,
Well,
bad lighting, bad sound, bad this, bad that, bad acting. You got to teach people who want a video and want to be on camera, but can't act. Or can't talk, or can't put a sentence together or anything like that.
Yeah, I was just watching something about Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick. Like he was really well known for making people do like a ridiculous amount of like professionals, like Tom Cruise, like making them do an obscene amount of retakes. Yeah, and I just watched this just like last night. And it made me feel better because sometimes I ask I'm not working with Tom Cruise, right? I'm working with like just the average guy that's not an actor.
Right.
And I'm like, do it again. And didn't, do it again. And I might ask him like, I feel uncomfortable asking him like for the sixth time, like, oh, you didn't do it right. Or you looked at the camera right afterwards and now we got to redo it. Like, but Stanley Kubrick, like without an exaggeration, would have these guys do it like 80 times. Like do it again.
Yeah, I feel bad, and I feel like I'm pissing them off, because you're trying to because it's so invasive too. It's invasive when you have a camera, you have a light in someone's face, like they feel exposed, and then if you give them any sort of friction, it can go south so fast. It can really can.
Yeah. What I try and do is like, obviously, and I'm sure you do this as well, right? Just try and make them feel comfortable and just like, no, that was a great take. But you know what? I try and blame it on myself. Like, I didn't get it right. Like I messed up something with the camera and like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I'll redo it again. Or if they, or if I ask them to do something like, before the camera's turned on and I see like a facial expression that they made that works well with the vision that I'm trying to go with. I'm like, that's exactly it. I just give them feedback and
a little positive
but you're
encouragement.
Right. Yeah. But after the 80th time, it's like, I could see why they would feel uncomfortable.
I always start before I'm recording. I have the same line I say to everybody. I said, all right, so, these are new cameras. These are digital cameras. We're not working on film anymore. So we can do one take or we can do 500 takes. I'll just delete the ones that stink. And then, we'll pick the good ones out. So don't worry about wasting the film. Don't worry about wasting the time. Like, it's all good. And that kind of centers them a little bit to start. But then I got to, keep getting back at them.
Yeah.
It's fun, man.
Yeah. What I'll also do is like, I often run into this when, like, if somebody's reading off a teleprompter, and they're like stumbling on the words, or they're like, oh, whatever, like they just can't get it right, or they just sound too robotic. I immediately say, all right, we've already done, 4 takes. I'll say that to myself. We've done 4 takes, and I see that this isn't progressing in the right direction. And I immediately just say, hey, you want to go get a cup of coffee, or you want to go get some, let's go get a snack or get some water. And that break, that 20-minute, 30-minute break, when you come back, they're refreshed and they're like, okay, I'm ready to go. And more often than not, when we come back from that break, they execute it perfectly. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, like, I find that, again, if you do it too much, like over back to back without any kind of breaks, it just adds too much pressure. And it's like, even when you're editing, right? Like, how many times does this happen to you? You're working on a project, and like I don't know, it's just all starting to look the same. And then you go to bed, whatever, you wake up the next morning and you see all the mistakes. You're like, oh, I see, like the color grading's off here, or
you gotta let it breathe, man. It's gotta breathe.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta let it breathe.
You gotta let it breathe. Man, if I get stuck, because it's kind of like, it's like editing block. And I'll also go on streaks for like 2 or 3 weeks where all of the stuff I'm editing is just dog shit. I just don't have it, and I got to put it down a little bit, and then I got to switch to writing or filming a little more, and then I go back, and then I kind of get it back, man. Because the technical skills are really always there, but your inspiration is just never ending, of just peaks and valleys.
Yeah, I find that I only have like a 2 to 3 hour creative window before like everything just feels like shit. And it's like, okay, I can't edit for 9 hours straight.
Yeah, you can't.
To your point, I've got to go do something else.
Get up, have a cup of coffee, walk the dog, literally anything that isn't in front of a computer.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, man, I'll go off and I'll edit for just several hours, just locked in, realize that I haven't gotten up for like 2 or 3 hours from my desk, and just completely enthralled. I love that part too. When you're glued.
Yeah, it's that Zen state.
Mm-hmm. It really is, man. It's kind of like that little flow state. I know the jiu-jitsu guys talk about that stuff too, right? When you're kind of just in the zone and you're just, going back and forth.
Yeah.
What
you don't realize it until you're done.
What belt are you now?
Brown
belt. Okay, so it's
brown belt.
It's white,
so
blue, purple, brown, black, right? And then degrees of each.
Right. So each one you have you get 4 stripes.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. 4 stripes.
Yeah. So it's white. Then you get 4 stripes, and then you get your blue, 4 stripes, then purple. So right now I am 3 stripes brown.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like pretty close to being black.
Yeah, that's mostly like in jiu-jitsu, it's like the longest period to get a black belt, right? Like it takes like 15, 20 years before you can even get one.
In comparison to like other black belts, you mean?
Yeah, to other martial arts. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it takes in other martial arts, but for jiu-jitsu specifically, they say on average it takes about 10 years for somebody to get their black belt.
Black belt. Wow.
So, yeah.
A lot of time man. A lot of time.
Yeah, but if you love it, it's like, it doesn't matter. And you get to a certain point in jiu-jitsu where you don't even, you're not even chasing the belts anymore. You're just trying to get better. So the belt doesn't even make a difference, to you. So,
for the love, really, is why you do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like when I was a white, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get my blue belt. And then even same thing when I got my blue, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get to my purple. And then when I got about halfway through, like my second stripe, like I just sort of stopped caring about the belt and really didn't mean anything to me. It's like, can I get better at this one thing, or can I fix this one problem that I'm constantly running into in my own game, or getting caught, or just trying new things? And that became the new goal, not let me chase the belt.
Yeah, it's interesting that, you know, you like video for the certain reason, and jiu-jitsu, like you get those tangible results, you know, and it's just you, and you can compare yourself to yourself, you know.
Yeah, that's really
that's all it
man.
is. It's like, you know, it's I mean, you work together with other people, but it's, you know, it's an internal kind of, you know, marker of how you're doing.
Yeah, it's all personal development. It's like that you should always just trying to out better yourself, not trying to chase this one thing or be like somebody else. I mean, there could be role models, and this can apply to anything in life. There could be role models, but at the end of the day, what you should always be trying to achieve is like, how can I be better? Whether it's a better friend, better, you know, better spouse, better athlete, you know.
It's hard to not get caught up in the views sometimes too, you know, with the view counts with the videos.
Sometimes it crushes my soul, man. I'm like, I put fucking 40 hours into this thing, and I've got, you know, it's been live for an hour, and I've only got 5,000 views. Like, this is a failure. It's like, you know, you gotta recalibrate sometimes, and like, listen, remember I was saying before, my first videos, I was like, man, I got 50 views. That's a lot. And then when I got 1,000, I was like, wow. And now 5,000 is no longer a lot. So it's like, you know, you just got to recalibrate.
It's funny. I'll put out a video that I spend all this time on. Nothing. Put a picture up of my fiance, my dog, engagement through the roof, likes through the roof, reshares through the roof. It's like, oh man.
Yeah. I think also sometimes it has to do with, sometimes it has to do with like the way I made a post just the other day. It was just me at the shooting range, and for whatever reason it was like really it got a lot of views in my stories, and then prior posts for whatever reason I felt they were getting like suppressed. So like it ended up, it was the picture that I posted at the range ended up getting like, you know, it was like one of my highest engagement posts, but then stuff that I wanted to do well just didn't get a lot of views. I'm like, sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's like sometimes you just get lucky. I don't know. It's weird.
It's the algorithm is the rhyme or reason.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
It's preferred content. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of it works. Well, I mean, I know how it works, but I mean, it's anybody's guess how it actually works.
Yeah. I don't think they even understand how it works.
No, man. I mean, I'm sure they don't, because it's probably so segmented, you know, between departments, and there's just got to be, like my fiance, she's a software developer, and she tells me, you know, a company that was started 30 years ago that has infrastructure, like, you know, digital infrastructure that is 30 years old, that has just gotten added to over and over and over again, and it's like, they're like kind of scientists trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So, I mean, it's perfectly believable that, you know, Facebook and Google and Instagram have no idea how it all even works anymore. It's too complicated. It's way too complicated.
Yeah. I worked for, or I used to work for, you know, for a large corporation for 20 years before I did this, you know, full time. And, you know, it was a company with like, you know, a substantial amount of employees. Like we're talking about like, you know, 7,000 employees worldwide. And I can't tell you how many people were fucking dummies, right? Like knew nothing that was going on. Didn't understand how this part of the business worked or that part of the business, or didn't even know how their own department worked. And it was just, it's mind boggling. It's like, how do you get a job here? And it was like multiple people. I used to ask myself all the time, like, how's this person working here? And, it's crazy.
And a lot of people in those kind of jobs, I feel like they want to be told what to do. You know, like, this is your job, these are your responsibilities, you have to do that. I don't do well in those type of situations at all. Like, you hire me, just let me do my thing. Like, I'm doing all the videos, you know, I got this. You know, let me do my space, you know.
Yeah, well, it's different in a creative space, but like if you're, I don't know, like a data entry person, right? Somebody's got to, you can't be creative with that. It's ones and zeros. But even then, like sometimes, you know, even after training and they've been there for years or whatever, like sometimes they're just so lost. And it's like, how is this person even still employed here? How the hell did they even become employed here? It's crazy.
Yeah,
So I would imagine those people exist in at Instagram and Facebook and so forth.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they probably do. Well, it's a weird world we're living in, man. It's so bizarre to me that we can just hook up the cameras, talk to somebody. I mean, we're probably 1,200 miles away from each other right now. Never met in person, having a cool conversation. It's bizarre. It's really trippy.
We're living in the future, dude.
Yeah. I remember one movie in particular. It was called Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. And it was a Disney Channel movie that came out in like probably the mid 90s. And they had these little devices just like this. And the girl was living in a space station and they were talking to each other on video call from outer space to down here. And I remember thinking, this is like 90. Let's see if I can find out when it came out. It's probably, it's probably like 97, 98, 97 it came out. Oh, no, 99. And they weren't that far off. I mean, the iPhone was like 11 years later, 10 or 11 years later.
You figured from 99 to 2009, how much technology changed, like substantially from that window.
I mean, I was born in 91 and I graduated high school in 09. And I got into film in 05 and it was still tapes, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, before that, I got this camera probably in like 2002, 2003, and it was still, still tapes in it.
Do you still use that camera or no?
It still works. Yeah, it works. I have it's high 8, like the high 8 cassette tapes.
Yeah, that's so funny. I converted a bunch of like my family videos, and then I recorded my daughter like riding her bike. It's kind of funny. Like during that period, we were like, oh, we can't wait to get the footage like the Sony cameras are today. Like, can you imagine what it's going to be like in the future? And then we're here and people want things to look vintage.
Yep.
Right. It's crazy.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. I should shoot something with this, just like a little skit or something like that, or maybe a podcast. I mean, I have a converter that I can run it into a HDMI, and I could use it instead of this camera if I wanted.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I recorded after I was done converting all these like family tapes. It took me forever. But sure. I converted. Yeah, I mean, there's no way to like speed up the process. You just have to let these videos just play and then record. But I had like some extra tapes and I was like, it'd be cool. Like, let me just record my daughter playing, riding her bicycle. And it came out cool. Like I was able to edit the video and I turned it into something. So
it's super cool. It's funny. I got like all these old tapes and, I used to just, flip this thing around and do like selfie videos at like, 10 or 11. And I'd just be like talking shit. Like one of them I don't know, was that like Thanksgiving or something? And I was just like talking shit about like all my family members and stuff like that. Be like, no one listens to me, blah, 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 blah. I'm just going to hang out here. It's like,
oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, dude, you should totally like do something with that.
I got to start digitizing them. Yeah. I think I might do that today. Actually, when we get done the show, I'll just play and let them go. But for people who don't know, any young guys who are video producers used to take a camera like this, plug it into the computer, hit play, and then hit record. And that's how you got your files onto the computer to edit digitally. It sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. It still sucks. I can't tell you how many times. Yeah. I was converting stuff and
then it crashes.
That's what I was just going to say. It crashes and you're like, oh my God, I just let the camera sit there for 90 minutes and now it's like
the MP4 file doesn't finish. Yeah, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's painful.
It sucks. All right, well, listen, man, I'm starving. I gotta get something to eat. I haven't eaten anything today. But
do your thing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate the time. Thank you, everyone, who stayed with us this long. This is the first episode of the Brian the Video Guy show. Here with Sam Rivera. Sam, you want to plug your website or anything like that to wrap it up?
Yeah, visit my my website, samuelriverafilms.com. I'm also same handle on Instagram, Twitter, pretty much any social media platform you'd be able to find me at Samuel Rivera Films.
And open for business too, right? Any clients
open for business?
Hit Sam up, man. Yeah. High quality, beautiful storytelling content. He's your guy. Well, thanks a lot. Man. We'll catch you next time.
All right, buddy. See ya.
All right, see ya.